In a world of shiny helmets, spandex jumpsuits, and strange monsters, these heroes force feed you a bowl of awesome that is the Tokudon Podcast. Join Carl and Rob as they haphazardly welcome you to the exciting genre of Tokusatsu. Now, open wide.
Hello, friends! How are you today? What's going on? We are here for another episode of Tokudon. A little bit different schedule. We're on Saturday this time. Normally we're on Sunday. Are you frozen, Hawk, already?
Weird, guys.
Oh, you're just standing there.
No,
okay.
he's just praising the sun slowly. Very slowly.
We don't know what we're doing yet, so I was like confused.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
I'm not doing the intro, and it feels weird.
I'm just looking around.
So we're fortunate we have a couple guests with us today. If you guys would like to introduce yourselves.
Unfortunate, I would say, more so.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be positive, man.
Unfortunately, I am Achilles, streamer, YouTuber, all things just anything you can waste your time on, that's what I do.
Quite good.
And my name's Jam. I like to do a lot of stuff on the internet, but you also may know me as Prawn Heroes. So.
These two also have a podcast called Tokusatsu World Tour.
Oh shit, we do.
Hello.
They do stuff like that.
We're the hosts of Tokusatsu World Tour, where every week we watch one episode of most of the time we try unknown Tokusatsu or Tokusatsu that's not really out there, and we have guests on and stuff. Most of the guests want to watch Kamen Rider, so some of that falls by the wayside sometimes. But
yes. And the one caveat is that it has to be officially released. We like to talk about stuff that is officially released. And usually we do detours, we like to call them, of stuff that isn't officially released. Stuff that's coming out like now, like the O's 10-year thing or whatever else is coming out. But usually we talk about official stuff.
he named the only thing that we didn't do a detour for, by the way.
Hey, that's a foreshadow, baby.
There you go.
Was it your inspiration to do like obscure unknowns at first, or was that just something you discovered?
I feel like it had to do with the Toei official YouTube channel, like that whole situation that has the episodes. That has, officially released episodes of Kamen Rider, like the first two from like Heisei, a few Showa and shit. But other than that, like they have all the other heroes from like the 70s and the 80s and stuff, and that kind of like piqued our interest. Yeah,
it was 100% because we were like, hey, we want to watch something new, but we also don't want to watch a whole season every week. So
yeah,
that's fair. That is absolutely fair.
And it's like a lot to kind of, for us, it's cool because we could be like, you got to watch that whole season. And it's like, all right, well, we got to make content. But to trust that the audience may have seen it before entirely, or to be like, hey, you got to watch this whole thing to get what we're talking about, it's kind of a lot to ask. So like usually being like, hey, we're going to talk about episode 1 or episode 1 and 2, or this episode is like, as a nice like, hey, you only have to watch one episode with us, and then we all talk about it together.
That's not a bad. That's what I like, the idea of being exposed to all kinds of new stuff, because I'm still like really learning a lot, and the more obscure stuff I find more interesting because of the production stuff behind it. You know what I mean? The product is what it is. Fine, but it's getting the experience or knowing the experience that they must have had to make it. Like, I think we covered an indie production the other week, and that was, the epitome of this new appreciation that I have. So like to think back because when I think of obscure and unknowns, I always go back to the Showa era for some reason. That's like my default. It's like there's so much new that I probably don't know now, probably more new stuff now that I don't know versus what I recognize from the obscure Showa era. You know what I mean? It's so hard to catch up, that even thinking back then what was obscure. Like what was the lion dude? Oh my god, it was
Beast.
It was one
Liamaru.
is it Lion Maru? It was a man who legitimately
Thundercats
into a cat warrior with a katana. You know what I mean? So that's what I default to, like stuff like that, and that's cool as shit to think like the guy was in the office and like
Kaketsu Lion Maru.
Yeah, he's like, I need a show. I have this suit, looks like a lion. What do we do? You know what I mean? And there's like probably a pile of cocaine on the table. You know what I mean? Like it's stuff like that piques my interest now.
If you're interested in that, the first world tour that we had Carl on, we went through Gamera.
Yeah.
And just read up on the story of how Gamera came to be.
There may have been rats involved. There may have also been a fire.
Swarm of rats.
An actual swarm of rats. Some dude came on set and was like, "Go, my pets."
It's Bruno from Encanto. Just brought all his homies to set one day, and they're like, maybe we shouldn't make a movie about rats.
Yeah. Yep.
That's amazing. Okay.
That's not that far off from what really happened. Oh, man. But yes, we are hanging out with these guys. And also, I like, Rob, how you keep saying you're a novice. You've been watching Toku for like 10 years now, you clown.
It's my out. Leave me alone.
More than me, trust me.
Oh, my goodness. What have you guys been up to? Toku, non-Toku, whatever. What have you guys been up to?
Oh, man. I was just telling you guys before the pod started, I was practicing a...
Okay.
I'm so sorry. Hawk and I have these nice matching mugs, and he just took a sip out of a
I
very
saw
real
you
drink.
use yours. So Jem got me this for Christmas, I believe, and I saw you use yours, and mine's here. Haven't used it in weeks, so it's like it has dust in it and everything. So I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna like Team Toku World Tour. I'm just gonna.
I saw him take a sip, and I was like, he doesn't have anything in there. There's no way. Oh my god.
Called you.
But yeah, I was practicing because I do henshins every now and then when I feel like it for like TikTok or Twitter or something like that. And I was practicing two Kaisers today, and that one's a doozy. Just like doing the whole dance in my kitchen, and then I switched it to to my office here where the whole collection is. And whenever I do the spin right before he shoots it, there was a couple times where I just got too dizzy, so I fell once. So it's a work in progress. There's gonna be some bloopers for this one for sure.
I just imagine you moving to the office and looking around and being like, there's not as much room as the kitchen here.
No, we literally had to take out this chair, and then we've got a bunch of other shit because there's not enough room. So yeah, I was like super sweaty before I got on the podcast, and thankfully, like I'm chill now. But that's what I've been up to.
It wouldn't matter, man. You could put me in an empty room, and I'm still gonna knock over the table. You know what I mean? Like I'm that kind of clumsy. It's that.
Yeah, like I'm stubbing my pinky toe on the fucking edge of the table.
Oh man, what have you been up to, Hawk?
I try to make YouTube content once a week. This week, unfortunately, like my real freelance job is like catching up with me, and so I've had so much stuff to edit. And like yesterday, I kind of got done with all of it before being given more. And I got done with all of it. I was like, oh, let me sit back and relax. Open up my YouTube, and it's like you haven't posted a video in 8 days. And I was like,
nice.
fuck, like,
what a weird reminder. It should be like, congrats for taking a break.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hope you're enjoying your time off. You're still you're
8 days. Keep going.
Views.
Yeah.
But it was just like, hey, and like, everyone blames the algorithm, but it's just the nature of it. Like, you see your graph, and like after 8 days of not posting, it just goes, pew, and like nosedives. And I was like, shit. And the reason it's taken so long is actually Carl's fault.
Whoa now.
Solely Carl's.
Because I'm goddamn adorable.
Because Carl's, we did this Kamen Rider Heisei tournament where we basically commentated computers fighting in Climax Scramble, and I am editing that video down. It was 2 nights. And we're just funny as fuck, and I can't cut stuff.
You're just too good. I'm sorry.
That's exactly what it is.
I'm still in the first round, and it's a 20-minute video already. And I've like toyed with the idea of like releasing 2 different ones. Yeah, the first round. But I'm just gonna have to like cut out parts and like, because I want 20 minutes as a whole. Like I'm like, nobody's gonna watch 40 minutes of this thing. So
we'll release a
figure it
Snyder
out.
cut of it. How about that?
Yeah.
It'd be like a
That's the
4-hour
full
thing.
streams.
Yeah.
The 10-minute Superman scream, that'd be great. Let's do that again.
I think the whole stream, both streams together are only like 4 hours long. We only did two streams of 2 hours apiece. And so I'm just like trying to pick the best parts of that and the parts that like not only that were funny, but where you get what's happening in the battle and cut it down.
I was about to say, is the AI even good? Like,
dude, it was awesome.
It was amazing. It was sick.
We did not expect it to be as fun as it was.
It was hype as hell. At one point, like 2 of them run sideways, like staring at each other like a goddamn anime. It was the hypest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was
Like straight
so
up
cool.
Naruto run to the middle and then start circling each other in the middle running.
It was
badass.
so cool.
And then there's other ones that just like totally fail at being any sort of semblance of AI.
Yeah.
And just like kick over the person over and over again.
But it worked. For that, it worked for Zio. You know,
Gio just fucking had main character powers the whole time, just dominated everyone.
Yeah. You'll be happy to know, Rob, that Double has one of the most broken moves in the game and just creates a tornado around them that lasts for like 5 seconds.
Why not? I mean, it's I think you said to me earlier the opening, the anime edited opening. Is that a legit thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they released the Futo PI anime opening.
There was the opening of it?
Yeah. I can send that to you guys, and maybe we can talk about it towards the end.
Is that Mappa?
I have no idea who's animating it. No, we looked at it before. It's not like a major studio. They haven't really done anything major.
Okay, because it looks pretty. It's very pretty.
Nice.
But yeah, it's the opening with the theme song in it, and I was like, oh wow, I missed this so much. It's gonna be so dope to see it. Like, I mean, I don't know, because it's gonna be weird it not being them, but being them. You know,
right?
I don't know.
Like it's the characters, but not like the actors coming back to portray them.
Is it not the actors voicing them?
No, it's the actors from Memory of Heroes.
That's what it was. Okay, I knew it was someone.
So it's just like, it's a departure just in that regard, but at the same time, it's also anime. So it's like a double layer removal of something I love, but I'm gonna give it that. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm still excited because shit, like, I can't believe I'm in 2022. I'm watching Kamen Rider Double for the first time. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Let's talk about how. Do you guys think in 2022 there will be a lot of people watching Kamen Rider Double for the first time? Do they release Double officially before Futo PI comes out?
Well, they already have. It's like 3 episodes.
do they release all of Double officially? Because Futo PI is a sequel. Like, it takes place after Double.
I would like to see like more DVD sales, but I don't know where they're at with even the sales for 01. Has that turned anything for them to think of that?
They have not announced anything for Ryuki yet, which is the only other one that we had confirmed coming. So they haven't announced anything for Ryuki, any official release or anything like that. It is on Tokusatsu. You can watch it on Shout TV.
That's actually all it was. When they announced them at the same time, because I remember this being a Twitter question that they had answered, that when they announced them at the same time, they only announced 01 for DVD and Ryuki for streaming. That Ryuki DVDs weren't coming.
That's upsetting. Well, to be fair, we mentioned it briefly not too long ago, but they sold out the pre-orders for 01 like 3 times. So if that doesn't tell them that like they can sell these things if they make them available, I really don't know what's not gonna get through to them.
Yeah,
but okay. But how? I guess I'm more curious as to the actual numbers, because if you sell out 30 copies, that's selling out. But you know what I mean? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't think they've released any kind of sales info yet, or I don't think Shout said anything like we've sold over however many copies. Anyway, I haven't seen anything anyway.
If anything is true about the current, or actually about entertainment in general, is they ride waves like crazy, and no opportunity like right now would be ideal to release a double, you know what I mean? Or even re-release the, what was the one? The Axel special. Oh my god.
Oh, yeah. Where he got the upgrade form, whatever it was.
You know what I mean?
The booster.
Because I don't think he's in I don't think he's in this, is he?
He's in Futo PI, yeah.
Yeah. And then we see a couple extra forms, according to the manga. We see some new Fang forms, stuff like that. So
nice.
It'll be pretty cool. Yeah.
I'm excited for it. Honestly, I don't know much about it.
No.
I didn't read the manga. I just because I don't. But I don't know. Double concept is cool. Hawk and I were kind of talking about the other day whether they would release like a physical release for Double. I personally don't think they would, even if I would want it. Like obviously I would get it, but I just don't see it happening. Although I would be surprised if they did. But regardless, I'm still excited for the anime. I'm definitely gonna check it out regardless because like I love those characters a lot. So it's nice to see some type of medium for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think physical release. I think as far as physicals go, they'll probably want to stick to the newer stuff. I would imagine they go 0-1 Saber, and then like if those do well, just keep going.
Start off the Reiwa on a fucking nice note because like this is a new era, it's a new generation. Why not start doing other stuff to distributing to other countries? You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then your doubles, your Ryukis, those will stay like streaming only because
which
just how it is.
Hey, I would be down honestly if I can just pop on fucking Disney Plus and hey, I'm about to watch.
I mean, Funimation's releasing Fudo PI, and they own Crunchyroll now, so like that's a very real possibility that could be a thing in the future.
You guys know, is there any live action stuff on Funimation or Crunchyroll?
Yep, there is. There was a fair amount of the Mill Creek stuff and some of the Shout Sentais that had come out is all on there.
Dope.
So yeah, it was on there. They're doing their weird transition period now where they're kind of combining Funimation and Crunchyroll and VRV and all that stuff.
Weird. I got an email the other day that was like, hey, you can get Funimation or you can get Crunchyroll for like 25 cents a month because you were a Funimation subscriber.
Yeah. I have all three of them and I don't know which one I'm paying for right now. So Peacemaker is mentioning that Shout has to do their subs from the ground up while Mill Creek mostly has pre-existing ones. So that kind of puts the release schedule in perspective actually. Interesting. I didn't know that. Does Mill Creek use the broadcast HD? Do we know? I don't own any of the Mill Creek Ultramans, honestly, so I have no idea. Because I know the big thing with 0-1 was like the broadcast HD. It wasn't like the Blu-ray remasters.
I have a couple of the Ultraman Blu-rays, but I wouldn't know.
Yeah. I saw somebody on Twitter. I can't remember. Maybe it was Sound Out. Is that his name? Sound. He does reviews of Ultraman ones, and I remember whatever the last ones were that came out, were not good. In terms of
quality, like they were like
video quality.
Decreasing in quality as they've been releasing.
That's unfortunate.
But the last ones that came out are like, what was it? It was Mebius, I think.
Was it?
Yeah, I think it was something like that.
Yeah,
it was an older one for sure.
Yeah. Like older Heisei. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, Peacemaker saying the sources and subs are pretty much whatever Subaru gives them. So yeah,
nice.
It's unfortunate though. Like, obviously the Blu-ray is going to look a lot better than some crappy downscaled 1080 whatever.
Well, like the 0-1 isn't sourced.
Oh, it is. It's the broadcast.
It's the broadcast. That's what I mean.
It's yes. No, it's not like the HD source.
Super HD.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
It's 1080 TV.
Yeah, and I popped it in once, and it looked fine. Like it's passable.
Yeah.
Like I would prefer that other than like, hey, here's 2 episodes on YouTube sub that.
Absolutely.
You're not get the rest of the season.
Yes, 1000%. I will take anything. I will take 8 like SD over not having anything. To be fair, I'll buy 19 bootleg seasons of Kamen Rider if they're officially licensed. As if it wouldn't be bootleg anymore, but you know what I mean.
Bootleg and officially licensed are 2 different words, Carl.
Listen, they could be the same. I've seen it happen. Gonzo was a weird time, okay?
Bootlegged by Toei.
Yeah.
They're just like, hey.
They just cell phone cam off their own screens.
In their offices.
Love it.
That's genius. That's probably exactly what goes on. 2 dudes sitting in the back like, all right, just chill.
We're gonna release this to Americans.
Oh, no, look what happened on accident. Don't you? Oh no.
They're just uploading to the cat site every week. They're like, all right, wrap production, go ahead and upload it.
Or it's like
overtime is just Toei.
put the raws up there so they can sub it.
What if every bootleg you ever watched was totally staged? And then like everybody was like, okay, now I have to get up and walk towards the back. Okay. All right, my cue to cough now. You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness.
I remember the first time I saw 300 was on a official DVD, and there was this dude who must have stood up and like was watching the movie in like the walkway, because he was just standing there like for a good 15 minutes. This movie, I'm like, well, I'll never know what happens in that scene.
Hey, 300 is a stand-up movie though. Like you get amped after. I remember walking out of the theater. My friend's mom let us in, and I was probably 14 or 15. I remember me and my friends all walking out of 300, like, hey, let's go kick somebody's ass now.
Yeah,
Let's go start a fight.
You're like tearing out my chest hair and punching a bull.
Can we get into bars? Let's go start a bar fight right now.
Yeah, let's go kick somebody off a cliff.
Yeah, exactly.
And then everybody copied that sequence for like the next 5 movies,
Yeah.
action movies every summer. It was. I mean, like when it always happens, like the Matrix bullet time and the Snyder thingy and
The Snyder thingy.
the side shot where Leonidas is being a beast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that whole long take. That was like in like 3 other movies I saw that like following that, and I'm like
All Snyder movies. He's like Watchmen, Superman.
Snyder, yeah. Like Watchmen.
I mean, Leonidas is cool and all, but I don't know if you guys ever saw Old Boy. That's the original like hallway one-shot fight. That's where all that came
I
from.
haven't seen it.
No, you can look on YouTube. There's the hallway fight scene from Old Boy.
Yeah.
Don't watch the Spike Lee whatever remake nonsense bullshit.
With Josh Brolin.
Yeah, watch the original. I mean, it wasn't awful. It wasn't good, but like that scene wasn't awful. I didn't see the whole movie. I don't want to watch the whole movie, but that scene wasn't awful in the remake. But the original Old Boy has one of the most iconic, amazing shots I've ever seen. That they've replicated even in Toku multiple times. Just a single hallway shot. Like it's crazy.
The cinematography altogether in Toku has been amazing lately. Since Wizard, I should say. Let me correct that, because since Wizard is when they started doing the wire fu more stuff. But like, just watching Revice lately, I think I'm a couple episodes behind. But the fight that they had against one of the Giftarians, where there's one shot where Vice is coming down in Jack form, and I just saw like how they just it was a simple shot, but the way they shot it looks so clean. I'm like, now we're getting there. This is lovely. This is TV. This is kids TV, and it looks that good. You know what I mean?
And I think Sakamoto, is that his name? The director has a lot to do with that lately, because I think he's been doing a lot more of all of them, like all the big 3, not just Ultraman.
Yeah, he's been like dipping more within a bunch of different stuff, because I feel like every now and then, I haven't seen him in Revice in a while, and I'm also a couple episodes behind, but I feel like I've seen him every now and then. I'm like, oh, I can like feel it when I'm watching an episode. I'll just be like, this feels like Koichi, whether it's Sentai or Rider or anything else.
That dude's schedule must be insane.
That's like a different production every day.
Yeah. And it's just like different companies as well, like moving between Subaraya back to Toei to whatever else he needs to do. It's just like, who set am I on today? He's got to be directing Ultraman at one point, like half awake, and be like, oh shit, yeah, that's right. This isn't Kamen Rider. This is Ultraman. Let me switch it up.
Their work ethic is amazing. You know, they because of what they've produced, but at the same time, like, it's what's a problem, you know?
Yeah.
Like, because of how crazy they do shit.
Yeah, like they don't stop.
It's breaking them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, aside from Toku, like, I'm also, you know, into the manga and anime shit. The mangaka are killing themselves on their schedules. And increasingly, you have seen official or Toei official and all those Kodansha, all those big ones are allowing breaks for their artists more often. And before, you know, back maybe not even 2-3 years ago, it was like, what? You're taking a month off? Like, what? Like, how dare you? Fucking this is taking 3 months off. Black Clover, I think. Yeah, Black Clover is taking 3 months off. Like, could you imagine, like, if it weren't for the change in environment where people are now focusing on the people of the industry rather than the product, that these changes are coming. Toku needs to step up in that same regard. Unfortunately, it really feels like, I think we were talking about that earlier, where we were looking for positive news and we've seen a bunch of shit news because of this situation.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, like we looked at a lawsuit. You guys might have heard of it. A lawsuit came out against Toei about overwork and on top of the sexual harassment stuff.
Right.
And just overwork and underpaid, essentially, like most unfortunate creative industries nowadays. So yeah, it's not great. Like the work ethic is good for like directors and things, but it's clearly not healthy. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a fine line.
Yeah, I do have one PSA on that, but first, just comparing it, you were talking about the mangas and taking breaks, like compare that to American comics, which has its own subset of problems, trust me. But like an issue of Spider-Man comes out once a month, whereas like manga magazines come out once a week.
Yeah.
And you're getting a new chapter every single week. And that's how these things like One Piece have gotten to 1,000 some odd chapters of manga, because like it's every single week nonstop. Yeah. As far as the Toei thing goes, like what you guys are talking about, which just came out, was the press conference where they're talking about how they're fixing it and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the original thing, I did a video on it. I think it came out in December, maybe. Was the original complaint, and that came out, and everyone's like, rightfully so. Everyone's like, "Hey, Toei, fix your shit." So this press conference came out last month or so, and I saw it posted, and then I saw everyone go, "Toei fucking up again! Come on, Toei, fix your shit!" Because they're reading the headline and not reading like, "Oh no, this is the aftermath of that. This is the correction of that." So like,
do you feel like that's more of a placation or an actual like, this is what we're actually gonna do, or we're just saying it so that you'll leave us alone?
Who knows? Like, this is me and Jim talk about it all the time with Toku. It's so hard to be on that side of it because we're so far removed from that side of it.
You're right.
Theoretically, if I get a big enough YouTube, I can interview Tom Cruise about Top Gun Maverick and be like, "Hey, how'd you like working on this show?" Mm-hmm. I don't think as a Toku content creator in America that doesn't speak Japanese, I will ever get to interview I was going to say Ishinomori, not the right. Sakamoto.
Yeah.
About like, "Hey, how did you do this? Besides like the Tokunet, because they're in Japan and do all that stuff. Right. We are just so far removed that like this production thing came out and complaining about Toei and like over hours and overwork. And I'm like, yeah, that sucks. But I also don't know what's the acceptable amount of that in Japan, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. Well, half of it is indoctrination. Like you see, it literally is indoctrination. We got used to the 9 to 5 because
someone said 9 to 5 was the right way.
So that's what I mean.
Like, literally Labor Day.
Right now, I think, and it's just to get on that soapbox. I think because we realize that it's okay to not be okay with being miserable. You know what I mean? Like, you do not have to feel not okay. And just go with it. You fix what's wrong and improve your life. And if people have to make changes to the world, that's how it happens. Like, I don't know the issue. I don't see why it's gonna ever meet contention or why it doesn't change. But I feel like this is a different era now for that kind of movement for them. You know, like it's a whole different backing. I don't know.
And it changed whether we like it or not because of COVID. Like to get out of
to
go on a stray from tokusatsu stuff. Like COVID made people see. I know it made me see that. Like, oh shit, I don't need a 9 to 5. I would have never like done a bunch of freelance work, spent time with my family. Like I say it all the time. Like I think the start of COVID is the most time I've ever spent with my wife. Just like cooped up together because it was she leaved before I woke up. I would wake up, go to work, go to the gym, go to training afterwards, get home, she'd be asleep. And then I'd be like traveling on the weekends for work. So COVID just forced us to be right there together. And for better or worse, like we confronted a lot of problems we had. We confronted a lot of issues we had with our jobs. And it just 2 years later and we're like, oh, we're completely different people because of this terrible thing that happened in the world.
Yeah, it definitely made everyone kind of reevaluate their position and, you know, how they were handling everything. I did definitely for me as well, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, absolutely.
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for COVID, honestly, and quarantine and that whole situation. Yeah. So it's a great point. But I also want to touch on something you guys were saying earlier. I feel like something that Rider and Sentai could benefit from is what Ultraman has already done with their shows as far as like length Like it's not such a long show. Like if I could have a Sentai season that's 25 episodes, but it's really, really good, I'm down. Like I'd rather take a shorter season than like a 50 episode show that they have to do week to week to week to week, one after another. And it's like one of the first shows Hawk and I talked about or like when we met was Garo versus Road, because he mentioned it for a video that we did, and he loves it, I love it, and like Sophia loves it, my partner, because like we watched that and it's not the longest season, it's like 12 episodes, but it's that beauty of like it's a short piece that you could love, and there hasn't been a season since. Like there hasn't been a new show. So the fact that they could just pull out a 12 episode season that's really fucking good and not do anything since is like good enough for me, because like I know the next time that they do something, it's going to be really cool. Whereas like superhero time right now is just like week after week after week after week, and it kind of just gets stale.
I need a season 2. You said nothing sense and that's okay for me? That's not okay for me. They ended that show on a fucking cliffhanger.
They did.
I mean, it's okay for me because I know that like they can pull off stuff that is good, that is short. You know what I mean? And like even the show before that, Jenga with Decade's actor, like that was another show that wasn't the longest, but from what I hear is like really good. I mean, like all the other Garo shows I've seen, but like my point is that like if they can pull that off and not do it week to week to week, you know, like I would be willing to trust Rider and Sentai to do the same, you know.
Shout out to Toku Kid for the follow. Sorry to interrupt you guys real quick. I just want to let Toku Kid know we appreciate you.
Hey, what's up, Toku Kid? Peacemaker in the chat also said, also how much can you do when you're an entire ocean removed from where the stuff is happening?
Exactly.
That's another thing. It's like,
shout.
If I go to Japan, cool.
Shouting.
And also like that ocean, they're not releasing stuff on my side of the ocean for me, so like they don't care what I think. But
they are looking. You know what I mean? They might not care, but
they're looking.
Oh, they're looking.
They're looking, buddy. Trust me. Trust me, they're freaking looking.
What's up, Zigra?
What I was saying is, do you guys feel like I had an idea of what you were saying, Jem, about how these short microwave stories are good in bites. Don't you feel like after a while you're gonna want something that's kind of like a marathon show, something that has that legacy behind it? You know, like I was thinking the other day, I was catching up on Dino Fury, and I'm like, man, why can't Rider do a sequel season? And why wouldn't that be okay? You know what I mean? Like, I know we want new, we want fresh, and with 50 episodes, it definitely would wane. But that's where you have the idea of maybe dialing it back a bit. You know what I mean? Like, because you have 2 seasons to go through, why not give us one full arc without the fillers, you know, without the Thouser arcs, and then focus that denouement you want in the second season. I'm just
I think well, first you said legacy, and I feel like Hawk just got like shivers. I'm like,
let's go.
The
one thing I was going to say that he was like, why can't it have 2 seasons like Dino Fury? Like Dino Fury is a full 48 episode series split over 2 years, which is like, if you've watched Dino Fury, not great in terms of like the release schedule and everything. I would give me the Rider week by week, every time over 11 episodes, 6 months, 11 episodes, 6 months.
Yes. Yeah, that's totally different. That's like, you know, like half of a season where like you get to binge that. But yeah, I think the Garo versus Road example is like, you know, I guess that should, you know, portray my point. But like, I don't know. I feel like I wish there was able to. There were 2 shows, like literally, like we could have like a Garo versus Road short season, and we still could have that like superhero time, week to week. You know what I mean?
Hawk, your hand is raised. How can I help?
Sorry, I was adding to Jen's point. We were talking about it the other day. Veil is the perfect like sub story to Revice, and it feels good, and it feels like that Garo versus Road style that we like.
Yeah, rolling on top of that, like back when Ghost and X-Aid were happening, like Amazons, you had that, like you were able to dip into that other like style if you wanted to.
Something for a different audience.
Exactly. And again, Amazons isn't that long either. So like I do like that, and I wish they did more of that. So yeah.
Would you guys rather have like contained shorter seasons and sequel movies, or like sequel seasons kind of thing? Like, would you rather say like Garo versus Road gets a sequel? Would you want it to be a movie or another season, or what would you want from it?
I think we've talked about this. I don't know if we have, Hawk, but like either way, I would take a movie. I would take a movie that has a sequel. I would take a trilogy. I would take another series. Like anything.
Yeah.
So with that show specifically. But with anything else, I think I'm game as long as it's good.
Yeah.
Like if it starts being bad, I'm gonna get like upset. And I'm gonna have something to complain about. But I don't know. I feel like if it's done well, I would be down for anything.
As much as I like Gaim, that's how I feel about the movies now. Like, why are you giving me a movie about Kuro? The chestnut. You know what I mean? Like, I get it that he might be a fan favorite,
Right.
but that's a lot of effort for one guy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean, like Dan Kuroto, he's still making content in 2020. Making content. He's still in shows in 2020.
That's a censored word in this house, just so you know. We don't talk about Dan Kuroto.
Kuroto is like the +3 of Toku.
Yeah.
Like Ray William Johnson is still making stuff now, but like only a very subset of people know. That's Dan Kuroto.
Hell yeah. So he's Tommy.
Yeah.
He's Tommy.
He's Tommy. He's literally Tommy at this point.
Nice. That's
Legend of the White Genom.
There it is.
I think it's that same vibe that you're right. Like continuing a story would be good as long as the caliber matches it.
Right.
Like, okay, example or counterexample actually, where
Right.
the continuation is superior to the show, the Saber movie. I think that the movie alone, even if you were to get a synopsis of the show, you could watch the movie and appreciate just the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's an example of how to continue the legacy, but at the same time, that's also an ending. You know what I mean? I can't feel like we're doing nothing but ending all of the Heisei era or any rider now.
Yeah.
They're focusing more on ending and less continuing. How Ichigo has venture upon venture upon venture. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what I'm thinking of. Are we ever going to get another guy like that other than fucking Decade?
Yeah.
Like, Decade was Kuroto before Kuroto. So, you know what I mean? I don't know. Like,
Peacemaker's mentioning that, part of it is also the rider toy schedule, and they need toys every quarter. So that definitely has something to do with it. I'm sure they have to stretch the episodes in.
So here's my solution to that, because we were talking about shorter seasons and stuff.
Yeah.
My like dream scenario is 25 episodes of Rider, 25 episodes of Sentai, and then when those are off the air, you switch them out with a Metal Hero and like a Robotac Kabutak in the Sentai slot.
oh, man.
And you just like keep going. 24 episodes or what, so that Golf can like take 2 weeks off or whatever. But like when Kamen Rider's not on the air, you have a new Metal Hero season. You have a new Space Sheriff or whatever.
Yeah.
And then when Sentai's not on the air, you have a new like Age Down.
Say that again. New Metal Hero show.
Yeah, I want it. I want it so bad.
Yeah, no
Especially,
question.
Like, I'd known of Metal Heroes and like B-Fighter and everything because like Beetleborgs and stuff. But then once Toku World Tour started and we started jumping in more into Metal Heroes, I was like, why are we not watching this right now? Like, why is Blue SWAT?
Why isn't it still happening?
I know why Blue SWAT's not in the air. Okay, I get it. But why is like?
What about Bycrosser? He holds
Why is
the
Windspector
motorcycle.
not on the air? Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Bycrosser is not good.
Bycrosser was so good. What are you talking about?
But you can bring it back and make it better. So let's do that.
Bike Crosser, dude, with the brothers? Are we talking about
where he's
Sim
holding the
Show?
motorcycle
Yes,
as the cannon.
Oh, okay, the cannon, that's cool. The bike
That was our
cannon,
money shot
That
for
was-
that show.
but that's like the only good thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, other than that, we were kind of just like, nah. But yeah,
Bycrosser
no.
is one of the ones, Jim, right, where they do the freeze frames where it's like toy.
Oh my
Yep,
God.
Toy.
yeah.
With the blurb.
Yeah, 5 minutes of that show is freeze frame, toy's name. Freeze frame,
Yep.
toy's name.
Yeah.
Purchase now. Available at Toys R Us.
in that one for sure.
Zigra also mentioned that Ultraman Mebius is coming out this month, just since we mentioned that earlier.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. But
So whatever the last one was, Sound Route reviewed it and it was not great video quality.
Yeah.
Sure.
I did want to check out.
Toku Kid's saying a third installment of B-Fighter, since we're talking about Metal Heroes.
Ooh.
Yeah, it would be cool.
That's down. I'm down for that.
Next gen.
I just think your toy schedule wouldn't like be bad because of that. And like we know, but Rider and Sentai specifically like drop during the third quarter a lot because there's just not really that worthwhile toys to go for, which is probably why we've seen all these like drivers and new power-ups come out in that quarter. But if you had a new show coming out every time and then someone was like, oh, a new changer for a brand new hero, I'd have to review it on YouTube. We'd all be buying that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, the best time in the Toku community is first episode premiere time. So, that would happen way more often if that was the case.
But would that take away from the current show, do you think? So say we're taking down our block. Let's just say they do, for the sake of marketing, they do like Kamen Rider and Sentai in one, then they'll have their secondary one in the other block, and that's their superhero time. You know what I mean? It's not going to powerhouse like half a year, and then the other half is nothing. But say like we're going to the next Metal Heroes, but Kamen Rider is ending. Not that Metal Heroes would probably ever overtake Kamen Rider, but say the new Sentai is coming out and it's following Kamen Rider that's ending in this 25 episode format. Do you think Sentai would overtake anything in sales, whatever it may be, to Kamen Rider?
Toy sales, yes. Hype, no. Because like people love Ultraman. Ultraman's 25 episodes. Yeah. People eat up Ultraman every time it comes out. Yeah. And I think you would, like Jem said, you would just constantly be getting that every quarter basically, because they're on a rotating schedule. So when Sentai ends, this one comes up. The next quarter, one ends, the next one comes up, and it just would like churn them out. I don't think it would take away, because I think 25 episodes is a kind of a sweet spot for Toku. You have Revice right now. Mm-hmm. We're kind of in that like Build's dad shows up, don't really know what we're doing kind of arc of like you guys are episodes behind, which wouldn't happen if we were in episode 5 or 1 through 10.
Right. Yeah.
Well, my reasons are different, but
yes, but like you're so like episodes 1 through 10 are so hype, you want to know what this show is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Whereas like we're on episode 33 and we're like, there's probably 16 episodes left. I can wait and then catch up when something happens.
Yeah. This is what I'm saying. It's the Thouser arc.
That's a fair point.
It's always those stretches that take away from the show. Every season has had it. It doesn't. I mean, it varies to the degree, but every season has suffered this lull, and I just don't see the point anymore. Like, your idea is genius. Just give them a break. Let them take a minute, fix your story.
Right.
You know? Like, I don't know.
This model, this 50 episodes a year model, 48 episodes a year model, worked very well before we had streaming services. Yeah. And you wouldn't have to watch every single episode. Because like I said, back in the day, nobody ever thought that like you'd be able to watch every single episode of, Murder, She Wrote, like Bonanza and those guys.
What happened?
Can you hear me?
We're all fine. I don't know what happened. We can still hear you, though. It sounds like it changed microphones.
Oh, yeah, cool. Oh, it sounds like it changed microphone. I hit this, and so maybe I
might have to restart because it says the power couple finished.
Yeah, it said it stopped recording.
Well, we're still streaming. It's fine. Okay. Figure it out.
Still here.
We're still here. We're still live. We're good. We'll figure it out.
Quick, put the batteries back in. Hurry up.
But like before streaming, the 50 episodes worked because Power Rangers came on not once a week. Power Rangers come on every weekday.
Yeah,
like it was just nonstop because you couldn't go back and watch an episode and be like, oh yeah, I forgot, let me catch up. No, they just needed something new every single time, and something that you can sit there and watch for the first time and understand.
Yeah. You had to set that VCR or else you were going to miss it.
Yep. Whereas like now American media is had figured it out of like 12, 13 episodes. It's kind of a sweet spot for people that like, let me get this one event. Now with like Disney Plus shows and stuff, they've shortened it down to 6 episodes and like cut out even more filler, which is great sometimes, not great other times. But Disney Plus also has that switch out method where like, hey, as soon as Moon Knight ends, guess what? In 2 weeks, Star Wars starts up, baby. Yep. And then Star Wars ends, and then 2 weeks after that, Miss Marvel starts up, baby. And then we just keep turning out content. It keeps you hooked.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think to answer your question, Carl, from before, I feel like with releases, toys specifically, I feel like, because I'm just thinking about it now, and I feel like sometimes it gets stale now, or like I feel like some toys take away from other toys, because like I'm not interested in the Dawn Blaster for like what it is as a toy, but like everyone's talking about the Demon's Driver because it has the lights, it's so cool, so I feel like it depends on the show, and like I don't know if Bandai would be down for something like this, like what we're talking about right now, as far as like breaking down like one show like per like quarter or something like that. Because like obviously they put out a bunch of stuff all year round, so to like go down to one show per like we're saying quarter would be interesting, but I think it could give, whether it's Toei, whether it's Bandai, the directors, showrunners, time to maybe focus in on those henshin devices a little more and like think them out a little bit more, make some stuff more cool, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't have to be. I'm trying to think of something like, I don't know,
maybe they wouldn't stack everything on the driver rather than have it do more stuff. You know what
maybe
I mean?
right. Maybe there can be more utility in the driver.
From your waist.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there could be an advantage. Obviously, there's disadvantages with not having stuff being pumped out all the time, but I think there could be an advantage to working on something and like you're focusing on that one thing rather than all these like pieces that like they're always doing.
Yeah, and I think also to Hawk's point, like, you know, using the Disney Plus example, Star Wars still sells stupid merchandise even when there isn't a new Star Wars thing happening right this moment. Like we just had Boba Fett a couple months ago. It just ended in December or wherever it ended. But like they're still selling Star Wars stuff nonstop. And Toei could get to that point very easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like looking at the magazine scans for Revice when they come out month for month. There's just nothing that excites me. Nothing that I'm like, hey, I want to buy that right now. I like need that in my my repertoire. The last thing was the Demon's Driver, and that was announced episode 8, maybe.
Yeah.
Like we're on 33, and just none of the power-ups are exciting me or everything. Whereas like it's probably part of the part that I don't particularly identify or like the Vice stamps.
Yeah.
And so if there was just a new gimmick, I'd be like, oh, cool, something more to be excited about. The other fact of it is when a new season comes out and we decide we don't like that season, for example.
Yeah.
I know it happened with Ghost for a lot of people very early on. That's just a year you lose of those people.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Yeah, rather than like a couple of weeks.
Get back after X8. Yeah, after X8, I was like, I don't trust you.
But what if we had the Demon's Driver and it was orange?
Yes.
I'm just saying. Like that's how brand new ideas. It's totally not the same driver, guys. It's orange now. Okay.
You mean like the Vice repaint for Vale's whole look?
No,
like,
that's not what I'm talking about at all. Why would I talk about that?
Me and Jem talked about it one time where I was like, is there going to be a Sentai team of Vices?
Yes, there's absolutely is.
There's different colored Vices. You know, like Lovekov evolves into something that looks like Vice.
Oh my goodness. Toku Kid is asking, what do you guys, or if you know of, or if you would want there to be kind of like a Kamen Rider what if series. The example they give is, what if Kurikage didn't eat the Helheim fruit? Or what if Laser used dangerous zombie Gishat? You know, that kind of thing. What do you guys think of a what if series, since we kind of played into the Disney Plus aspect of this whole conversation?
I've thought about this one for a while, and it's because I'm a 0-1 fucking nut, and I've seen it so many times.
Fair.
But what if, when Fuwa henshins for the first time, he grabs Rushing Cheetah instead of Wolf? I don't know. I just think that could be nice, and then vice versa. You know, like Valkyrie could use Shooting Wolf. I think that could be fun.
Could you imagine you using Punch Kong?
Oh, I'm down. I'm down.
Punch Kong, bro?
Yeah, I love me my punch ladies. Let's do this.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll go off the same thing as Jem because I'm a build nut. What if Sento died and not Sento, Kasaragi died before he became Sento? What if Evolt killed Kasaragi instead of making him Sento?
Interesting. Do you think Banjo would take over as like the main dude?
Banjo as build? Oh my god.
No, because I still think Banjo was like right place, right time ish. Because he's like spoilers for build. He's basically Evolt's son. He's like a carbon copy of Evolt almost. Yeah. So I think he was always going to come into play where he did. It just would leave open of like who would take over that rider system because Evolt couldn't use it himself at the beginning.
Right.
Interesting. What if Gentoku found the build driver instead of
Gentoku was like the thought that I had.
Yeah, instead of the Steam Bat, whatever.
Yeah.
Would he still do the shirt gimmick? He would still do the shirt gimmick.
It would just be two colors.
That's actually not a bad idea. I like that.
Crossed over like this way instead of straight down.
Nice.
What about you, Rob? What do you think for a what if?
What if what's his name? What if Gio
Didn't suck.
Yeah, what if Geo went full bad?
Okay, so he just like embraced the Oma.
Like from the get-go?
Yeah, from the get-go.
Oh.
Isn't that like just Oma Geo though? Like, don't we already know that?
Rob just wants Oma Geo the show. That's all.
Isn't Geo itself the what if?
But what if, don't you get that he isn't bad though? Because he helped his other self. You know what I mean? Like, he's not bad. He's just a dick. You know
I honestly didn't watch the show enough to have an opinion.
Yeah, dude, I've only seen the first like 20 episodes, and that was back in like 2018.
So like throughout the show, he's helping him like survive the instances that he wouldn't, and it's not to preserve himself because they're two separate beings at this point. But I realize that, you know, how he one shots all of those fucking guys. Like, okay, what if? I'm sorry. The fact that he one shots all of the major villains put him in such this insane bracket that I'm blown away that the show was so bad that you gave us this amazing thing and you biffed it on a fucking on Tokiwa. You know what I mean? On that guy. I'm sorry. What if he was evil from the jump? What if he said, I am king shit of this stack and fuck all of you and your villains, and I'll one shot all of you if you have anything to say about it legitimately. Like, ugh.
I've always liked the idea of like an evil rider from the start that like slowly turns good towards the end or by the end.
That's kind of what I wanted out of Decade once they like showed that he was part of Neo Shocker or whatever they called it. Like, it would have been cool if they had just reversed that timeline almost. Like, that would have been really sick. I would have to say for my what if, no one's gonna be surprised by this, but like for Blade,
what if Blade was good?
Listen, motherfucker. No, but honestly, like, I think it would be interesting just because Hajime and Kenzaki have very different what they hold, you know, close and goals that they have. So what if they had switched the Joker, you know, positioning, and Kenzaki was the Joker and Hajime was Blade? I think that would have been a very different take on the ending. That I'm not going to get into because that's a whole other thing. But you know what I mean? Like, that kind of thing. They just have very different ideals.
What if the Kabuto Zector accepted Kagami
From the get-go?
from the get-go? When he told him.
Dang. Tendo would be pissed. Tendo would go Dark Kabuto real quick.
Real quick.
What is I've been asked that question a lot, and I've never been able to come up with anything. It's just like I don't know. Rider seasons to me are so compartmentalized where like they come and go. It's like in one year out the other. And once it's out the other, sure, there's some stuff that like you'll hang on to, but like that's in its own section of time.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go, Hawk. I got one for you.
The legacy thing. Like, that's what I want. Like another Ichigo. I need another substantial character that can always come back. You know what I mean? Like, and that doesn't feel, why are you here?
Yeah.
Like Decade.
Yeah.
Well,
What if Decade wasn't Decade? You know what I mean? Like, that's my what if. What if Decade only happened once? Like, shit.
what if Kiriko could turn into Drive?
Ooh, oh.
What if they just respected Kiriko?
Yeah.
What if we had a
She got kick heels though, right?
Give
She's
her
cool.
something besides a fucking boot
That's
that
good
she
enough.
wants.
A boot, high heel boot.
They're like, you can do a rider kick, and they used it for 2 episodes and never remembered it again.
Nope. She tried. Oh my goodness. Awesome.
It's such a bullshit. Oh, you made me so mad. It's such a bullshit reason why she can't use the driver in the first place.
It is. It's
That it
not.
makes me
I hate
so
it.
mad.
It's like no reason, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
they couldn't even write a good reason.
Oh, I don't know if you remember, but the day that she did the kick, we were like dude, what the fuck, dude? She's gonna get the drive. No. But we were like so sure that we were finally getting a female rider that we were like so stoked. It was unbelievable, those 20 minutes that we had. We were like, oh my god, yes, and no.
Like, I'm not the person that thinks everyone on screen needs to be a rider. Like, there's a joke in the Prime Rogue special where like Miss Sora grabs the build driver and she's like breathing heavy and is about to use it, and Prime Rogue just comes and grabs it. One of my favorite moments in like all of Kamen Rider because it's hilarious. And I don't think Miss Sora should have become a rider at all. Kiriko was set up from the beginning to be more competent than Shinosuke, like better at everything than Shinosuke, and just gets fallen by the wayside by the end.
Hawk's getting heated.
Like
Satonaka needed to be a fucking birth. Like,
we said the same thing, man. Kiriko was one of the better parts because Go was if they would have taken Go's motivation and Go's driver and gave it to Kiriko, you would have had a complete character. You would have had a better character than Shinosuke could have ever been. Ever. Legitimately.
Kiriko having that moment with Chase that Go has would have felt way better. Because anyone that says that Mach and Chase are brothers, you're an idiot. Mach fucking hated Chase until the very end. He was an asshole to him the whole way. And then he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have been that way. Like, fine. But it's like not earned at all.
Yeah. Like, I don't oh my God. And you just recently watched Drive, didn't you, Carl? Don't you feel like the same?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah. I honestly, like, I just wanted Kiriko to have something, and I've accepted many moons ago that's...
She gets a boot. You're welcome.
Yeah, she gets a boot. Cool, great. Like, she didn't even get a spin-off. That's how much she was disrespected. Like, she didn't even get, like, Lady Drive in a V-Cinema movie at some point.
She got a wedding dress.
Yeah, she got a wedding dress and was like, I guess I'll... Toei was like, I guess we'll make her make a sandwich. I don't know. Like, why not?
Kamen Rider Heart instead.
Yeah, that shit show.
What everybody wanted.
The McDonald's dome. Oh my God.
Oh,
You're asking
so
my
bad.
the ugliest suit of all time. It's Kamen Rider Heart.
Yeah.
It is. It's I can. Well, yeah.
Drive does one of the best jobs of just destroying its ending of any Kamen Rider out there. Build does a great job of it too. But Drive is just like, hey, remember that ending that was like kind of poetic and like you have this big meaningful thing with Heart and Drive? Hey, you guys like Ghost? What if you like Ghost? What if you throw Ghost in there instead?
Yeah. Why not? Why not?
I didn't see it.
Ghost is great.
Watch it. I just
Ghost
know
is
that
great.
It's not good.
It's Ghost being Ghost more than he ever was in his own show.
No, that's in Surprise Drive.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
It's everywhere
Or
but his
Surprise
show.
Future. Yeah.
It's literally in everything that is in his own show.
Yeah.
The specials, every movie he comes back for, it's literally everywhere but his own show.
Dude, Surprise Future when he's just
Dude,
A badass?
coolest shit ever.
Floating around.
Literally.
Yeah, it's so good.
debuts always tend to be that way, but except for Revice. I mean, legit. What the fuck was that? We
A disappointment.
Yeah. Like, we had the reverse. We had the reverse.
I'm like happy that it was like that because it set my expectations so low that when Revice actually came out, I was like, this is cool as fuck. Why didn't we get this?
Yeah.
You know what's funny is that like at the time I was so mad, and like I said, it was a disappointment. But at where we are right now in Revice and where like I'm at, I just like am fine. Like when I go back to rewatch that, I'm like, yeah, that's fine, because like you get that can be a relationship type that they can have, like a dynamic that they could have. But it's not so far off like what Ghost was doing in his shit that wasn't his show.
It's a 180, yeah.
You know what's insane too? Like, as a non-American, if you're watching in Japan, that was your second introduction to Revice. The first was Superhero Senki.
Yeah.
When he just comes in and one-shots the villain.
Yeah.
They just like kick him real quick. Final blow.
Yeah.
And like he's blowing fire and shit. So like to go from that to what that preview episode is, I would have been so mad as a child. Like, wait, what's happening? But I can also see, because like you have that kind of scary moment of Superhero Senki when Vice comes in.
Mm-hmm.
I can also see like them shooting that and like showing it to people and then be like, okay, wait, we have to tone that down, and then toning it down way too much.
Yeah.
They overcorrected.
Finding a middle. Yeah.
Overshot it.
Yeah, definitely.
That's my favorite.
Peacemaker's mentioning Kamen Rider Brain as well instead of Kamen Rider Medic, because why complete the circle?
But Brain, okay, I didn't find Brain as offensive.
Y'all like Goop? How
Because it was
you feel
10
about
years
Goop?
later.
I was gonna say it was too late for Brain. I was like,
Yeah.
really?
I'm like,
Really?
sure.
Brain?
Yeah.
We're going with Brian?
I would have taken Kamen Rider the Commander from Drive. More
I
than
would have taken that.
Kamen Rider
Juno
Yeah,
or
they
whatever
set
it
that
was.
up. Yeah. I would have taken it.
Drive. Yeah, Drive. Like I said, Drive is just so good at ruining its own ending. Kamen Rider Mach isn't even that good. Chase is fine, but it happens in the middle of Drive, which is fine.
Yeah.
Chase was my first V cinema, and I remember being like, people are bleeding? This is amazing. They have sex in the show? What?
What? Oh my goodness. I remember the first like V Cinema hyper battle, whatever you want to call it, was the Kabuto one. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that one.
That was the one you saw?
That was the first one I've ever seen. And that's literally Kagami just trying to beat Tendo for 45 minutes. That's all it is. It's fantastic. And that's how he gets the hyper attack at the end. Okay. But he's literally just trying to imitate Tendo to become more powerful, because it's after it. Literally, it sets up with like them being in the restaurant. And then it's like Kagami being like, hey, I want to be a hyper dude too. How do I get stronger? Let me just do what Tendo does. And he just copies him for like however long it is.
Let me try that.
Yeah, the one I saw was the fresh fruit from Gaim, because that's when
I
I don't even remember what the plot was for that. I just remember fresh. That's pretty much it.
Is that the one where they also get the like Legacy Rider armors? And then, and then what's his face?
No. That's the movie. That's
okay.
Tyson, isn't it? No. You're right. It's not that.
Where he gets Forze and he's like, ooch, that's enough of that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's in the Wizard versus Gaim movie.
Yeah.
Wizard Gaim, thank you. Yeah, but it was the fresh fruit one for Gaim. That's the first V, whatever it is. That's the first one I saw.
There are a lot of, and like it's never going to happen, but there are a lot of Kamen Riders that need closure. O's 10 years had to happen. You can't promise that all the way back then and just never do it again. So I get it. For better or worse, whether you like O's or 10 years or not, it had to happen. There are certain seasons that end the way they end and they do not need a follow-up. They do not need any V cinemas. They do not need any like whatever's next. And they just do. And they have to roll back on half the shit they do in the ending to be like, hey, you remember these characters you like? But like they're not in that position anymore.
Yeah.
But
they're in a brand new
place.
place.
Have to die? Do they all have to die? Because I hate that.
Yes, they do.
All have to die.
Kill them
They all die and then they always come back.
It was hurtful enough with AG. Come on, don't make me go through that again.
Okay, well let's talk about that. Like what would you have rather had happen in O's 10th?
Let's not, guys. I have not seen it.
Okay.
Oh, never mind.
If you're gonna end a rider, I like the idea of passing it on rather than him passing on. You know what I mean? Like, I prefer the rider not recognizing that maybe I'm done, but you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to explain.
So like, why don't we use Fize as more of an example? Because that movie came out a little while ago, and that was the same kind of thing. Like, Takumi ends up dying in the end of the Tyson movie, I believe, or one of the Tysons. Kind of using that as an example instead of, O's and stuff that may just come out recently. But yeah, no, I think what you're trying to say, Rob, is you want like a generational thing. You don't want necessarily like a bookend.
Yeah. Think of it like this: like Decade should have been a mantle, not a person. You know what I mean? Like to make it synonymous with that particular guy. I don't think I would have done that. Like if Decade, the power of all those previous riders should have been like an emblem. Am I making sense? Like it should have been
definitely.
Like one dude.
Yeah.
Because then when you see Decade again, it could have been a new person, and you would have understood like this is a generational thing. I represent the Heisei rider. You know what I mean? Generation.
The suit should be the face of the rider, not the actor inside of it.
Right. Like that's where I would go with things like that, especially with something like Geo 2, because everybody hates Sogo. So give us somebody else in the Oma form who could give us what we're looking for. I don't know.
But also just don't give me Decade 21. So that's fine.
A nightmare.
Oh my god.
Hawk's gonna say some shit about Decade 21 now.
I won't. You've heard me to the moon say stuff about 21.
Hawk, wait.
What I will say, no. Going back to your conversation, is I also think that you should pass along these drivers, and it should be a legacy thing, because I love that kind of stuff. Like Doctor Who does it, fucking wrestling does it, like Power Rangers even does it to an extent. Like Adam coming back and morphing wouldn't have been as hyped if every Black Ranger was Adam then on out.
Yeah,
like.
Right.
Him using the Mighty Morphin suit wouldn't have been as hyped if he was always the Black Ranger.
Right.
But I do think this battle between good and evil for the fucking end of the world will not always end happy. And so I think that some riders do need to go that way. And I think you can legacy them afterwards and have that new mantle, even have their friends pass down the mantle of like, hey, this guy's pretty cool. Let's He is like what I imagined my friend was like, so let's give him this driver, that kind of stuff. And I think those create cooler stories. I've always wanted a writer to start out that way, of like, this writer's the man, and like, he's great, boom, he's blasted down. Shit, we have to find another Deno or another whatever's next. Because I do think Deno lends itself very well to that idea. But I do think death needs to be a part of it to have those stakes built in.
Right. I mean, the stakes are there. You're right. You're correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it also, if we were to close out stories, like you were saying, where did we leave them off that it would make the most sense? Somebody like Kota, I don't think you can do much with that wouldn't feel contrived, other than, you know, oh, he suddenly isn't a god anymore because XYZ. You know what I mean? Like,
he's a god and he gets killed the first time he's back on screen. Like,
you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So
That's true.
but it really would depend on the character. Like, I would like to see a better ending for definitely somebody like, actually, damn, I can't think of anybody better than Kagami. Because I like the Kagami arc. Then he got the Geo ending. I think that was pretty good. I just would have tweaked it a bit and have Tendo a part of it. You know what I mean? I would have liked to have Tendo either pass it on, or, you know what I mean? Like, that's the only way I see it being better, if Tendo was like, all right, I'm done.
Are you cool with it, Tendo being another actor, or do you need that guy?
It has to be, because if you're talking finality and we're talking about
right.
Yeah. You know, I know he has his qualms with everything about it, but one day I would hope that he puts that aside for the fans.
He's talked about it on his YouTube, because he started like a cooking channel that I obviously was into. But he talked about how
no
like he doesn't.
way he started a cooking channel. Are you serious?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
That's
because
so
he didn't know how to cook, so it's just about him learning how to cook.
Yeah,
that's so great.
It's really cool. But in one of his videos, he talks about how like he doesn't have any like problems with like the Kamen Rider time in his past or whatever. And like he had an episode where Kagami's actor came on and they made
it was a great
mackerel
episode
together.
Yeah,
it was really cool. It's really cool. So stuff like that where like I feel like he would have been down. I don't think it was in the schedule, and I don't think Toei could maybe afford him, because like he's pretty well known in Japan now.
Sato, they can afford him.
Hey, you got it. But that was a movie though. That was a movie though. They probably had a bigger budget.
That was a bigger budget. Yeah, they were
probably like, yeah, we need to get Sato for sure.
Good point.
But for the show, I feel like because there were so many cameos, he was the one they couldn't get.
Yeah,
Tendo.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
That's also the other side of it, of like, we can't have all these people come back all the time.
Yeah.
And it lessens it, if the way they're doing it now, I feel lessens it to Rob's point of like seeing Kota in one movie, in one of the Heisei Generations movies, when we just saw the Gaim suit beforehand. So technically we saw Kota. Right. We saw Gaim.
Yeah.
And then he comes back in this next movie and it's supposed to be a big deal, but it's like, you were just here a year ago.
You were in that last movie, dude.
Yeah. Not you as the actor, but like the suit was there, so theoretically the character was there.
Yeah, they even used his voice lines, so.
Yeah. Exactly. So it lessens it every single time of like, we do these superhero Senki movies and we see this lineup of characters. I've seen all these characters already, but then you want to bring one of them back and be like, hey, remember this guy? We got his actor. And it's like, cool, but he's been in something for the last 5 years. Like,
so like that, for example, the Ultraman, that Decker, right? Mm-hmm. Dinah's in the show, the actor, right? He's reprising his role.
Oh, okay, nice.
Isn't he? I'm asking.
Oh, no. Oh, I didn't know. I thought you were letting us know.
I don't know if he's reprising his role or not.
Yeah.
Okay, so that doesn't make sense.
But Ultraman is they've always kind of done that, like
alternate dimensions things,
tricky.
Oh, I see. Okay, so me, not me. Okay.
Speaking of dimensions, how do you guys feel about like the AR world versions kind of playing into that? Would you rather see that kind of stuff if they're going to show up? Would you rather see like, this is kind of Kota but not Kota?
Oh, like Decade?
Yeah, like the Decade AR worlds where it was like them, but it was like alternate versions where it was sort of their story. No, just cheapens the whole thing.
I would rather have what Rob said, and you legacy pass it down while you still have the chance to. Mm-hmm. And then maybe in a movie later, somebody comes and you're like, oh shit, I know him. That's this person. They demorph. It's a new person. And you're like, hey, this is my story as the new person. I got it passed
Exactly.
down from this
Like,
person.
That's
Okay.
how you enrich the writer itself with the legend of the person. You know what I mean? You don't make it about the guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
And there are some that like need to be the guy. Don't get me wrong. Like
Tendo.
Tendo, well, like there's no other Geo but Sogo for a reason.
Yeah.
Because Sogo going to Omageo, that is solely Sogo's story. There is no other person that could be Omageo that's not Sogo.
Yeah.
So like there are writers who like that is built into the person that they are is built into that writer personality. But people like Tendo, like Kabuto can theoretically be anyone.
Yeah.
Like there's not really much Tendo personality and Kabuto that like mix into each other and need to be together like that.
I mean, when I think of Kabuto, I just think of Seiji Takaiwa. I don't really think of Tendo. So, I mean, that's just me, though.
And now when I think of Seiji Tokawa, I think of him fangirling a bunch of those idols in that trailer. It's so bad.
Well, Carl, to answer your question from earlier, I think, I don't know, right now with like all the multiverse shit going on, I feel like that's something that like, if they were to do it that way, where like if these what if or like AR worlds were like alternate versions of these characters and they were trying to tell stories that way, I would be down with that. I haven't seen Decade in years. But when I was watching it, I was meeting Fize as that guy. I was meeting Blade as that guy. So I thought they were those characters. Then learning that they weren't was total like a whiplash. So then it got me interested into watching the other shows because I didn't really meet them. But I think there could be a benefit from having these characters like Tendo, and then like I said, like a multiverse what if version or storyline that could be potentially in there.
Yeah. The only way to make that work would be how they did it with No Way Home. Spoilers if anybody has seen it. Obviously, everybody knows that all the 3 Spider-Man.
What?
Toby's in it?
So
I haven't seen it. I have no idea.
You haven't seen it, Carl?
I haven't seen it. I don't care about Spider-Man.
Okay, so then fuck it. Then you can say
I know they're in there.
So my point is your idea for a multiverse only works if they do it the way that they did it with Spider-Man. We had basically 2 to 3 movies each Spider-Man before we got this crossover event.
Like the build-up.
That is what made that moment immense, because we had so much time with the multiversal versions of them that if suddenly we had this last movie and Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire just popped up, it would just be like, oh cool, that's just 2 new actors that are supposed to be him, not the entire legacies that came with them. You know what I mean?
Did you fuck with What If?
Oh yeah, that's okay.
Well, because that's what I was thinking. I was like, if they were just like alternate stories, kind of like Decade of like, hey, this is the situation, or like Gaim, but like again, like what if we were talking earlier, like what if Yuya actually henchened into Gaim instead of Kota, you know, like stuff like that. Like I would be down to see that story, and I would be down to see that show, honestly.
I think though, having, as much as I love the fan service of it, Toei would definitely have to reevaluate their entire structure, because having a Tyson every year or every other year really cheapens that kind of thing.
Oh my god, yeah.
You know, it kind of like what Hawk was saying, like, you know, it's this big thing. Kota comes back, but Gaim was in a movie 6 months ago, so it's kind of like, okay, cool, great, he's here. Fantastic.
If the current climate is anything, I would take what the V cinemas are now is a good trade-off. You know what I mean? Like,
the V cinemas now have been killing.
Yeah, you give me the V cinemas now, I can let go of all the Tysons, no problem.
I haven't seen them, but I know they are a good example of this. Is the Space Sheriff movies of like
Next Generations?
Yeah, he's passed down
they're
that
so
mantle
good
to someone new, and like Space Sheriff also shows up. That Gavin shows up in the Decker Ranger. Am I right?
The new Gavan shows up with Decker Ranger, Space Squad.
Yeah, where you can do stuff like that and have like, hey, there's these 2 Gavans now. You can even add on a 3rd one later, and then you get that. You can have that big moment of them all 3 becoming.
And
Gavan at the same
that dude's
time.
a badass.
And that's not even multiverse; it's just legacy. So that's a great point for the legacy part of it.
I forget the actor's name, but the guy who played the original Gavon was like 60 something in that movie doing his own stunts. Like he's a badass.
Still pulling off that henshin pose.
Yeah, like, look through his butts.
Jem knows it because that guy shows up in like probably 60% of the Toku we watch for the podcast.
Dude. Yeah, he's in so many things, especially like back in the day.
Yeah.
But as far as like multiverse we're talking about, they can do that right now with Ichigo. Because Ichigo has the new one from Beyond Generations. He has the OG Ichigo, and he has the next. And then he has Shin coming.
He has Shin. They could literally just make a new series for Ichigo and then just have all 4 of them. Just like, hey guys, let's fucking...
I will shit my pants if they
Sentai
show
Squad
up with Shin.
Yeah, literally. Well, they've done that, but you know.
Yeah, that's that Go Ranger whatever thing that they did.
Yeah.
Go Rider, there you go.
They're not Ichigo, though.
Yeah.
They basically were all Ichigo. It's fine.
Yeah.
But you can do that. And what's crazy is like I was thinking about this the other day where like I'm so excited for Kamen Rider Shin. Don't get me wrong. But I have no interest in going back and watching all of 71, like all of Ichigo's original run.
Hawk! How dare you binge that?
I've seen it.
Whatever episodes.
I've seen enough. Blue Nova has like great
Starfish
summaries
Hitler.
of it if you want to watch it. But it's crazy to me that like yes, we have to go back and make Shin. We have to make Shin Kamen Rider. We have to go back but every time we reboot this Kamen Rider, it's the Kamen Rider who is in my mind one of the least interesting Kamen Riders that everyone is going to be introduced to over and over and over again.
Oh, okay.
Like Batman. Got it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like you asked. I'm gonna name drop. You asked James Gunn who his favorite Kamen Rider is. He says Ichigo, and like it feels like a cop out because it's like, come on, Ichigo is your favorite. Oh, but no, it's fine. It's fine. I get it. Because like if he were to adapt anything, it would probably be Ichigo influence. Not saying that he is. I'm just saying like theoretically.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and you could never make Shin Kamen Rider or some big like multi-country reboot and be like, hey, we're doing this. Let me introduce you to Kamen Rider O's the movie, because then it's like there's just so much logistically that people are like, wait, okay, Kamen Rider O's got it. Wait, there's more Kamen Riders, but we're not doing any other of them, and you get people crying that it's not their Kamen Rider and whatever. But it's crazy because like Kamen Rider is such a different beast than when it was just Ichigo and Nigo.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's interesting too to see like the same company that made that back then, they were readily available throughout the world, whether it was through like, Power Ranger, Masked Rider, whatever, Saban's Masked Rider, anything like that. Like the only reason that they can market something like that is because that character is more recognizable across the world, because it's not locked behind some nonsense streaming wall that they won't release. You know what I mean? It's fascinating to me where they just don't see it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like we've seen the Man Spider, we've seen the Bat, but we've seen them done better also than they were done originally. And we keep making this again. Like this is the third time we're doing it. And it's just like, cool. Like there's going to be new. Like I said, I'm still completely excited for Shin Kamen Rider. I'm excited for everyone to see it. But Shin Godzilla took things from all of Godzilla's history and not just Godzilla 54. Because if you remake that movie in 2014, whatever they made it in, it doesn't make sense. It's just not that the world is different.
Right. Everyone complains he's not in it. That's what you get. Oh man. Yeah, it's weird. This world's wild. Just embrace Kamen Rider. That's all they need to do. Just embrace these damn franchises so that we can get more of it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
One day, man. Fucking one day.
Toku Kid is saying Ichigo and Nigo are basically the godfathers of Kamen Rider, just like how Wolfenstein or Doom is the godfather of FPS games. It's true. But again, them being passed around the world was much different back then too. That's why they're more recognizable as like a pop culture thing. What were you gonna say, Hall?
And like they are the godfathers, but also like they aren't the best, if that makes sense. They aren't the like if you ask people what like Showa era, it's always black. It's black. Black is their fucking like bread and butter. Yeah. So finally we're getting a Black Sun.
Yeah.
A remake or a continuation of that story. And and it's not just like, hey, check out Ichigo in another movie, and Ichigo is buff Ichigo, and Ichi blah blah blah, and all this stuff.
Ichi blah blah.
I was gonna say Ichigata, and then I was like, no, I kind of like how that was implemented because it's like a homage more than anything. So like that's not, it completely skirts my point. It's just that like, hey, we've done this better, and why are we introducing? I know why, but it's like a bummer that we're introducing people to not the best version of this character or not the best version of this franchise.
Especially when most people and you know, you guys can speak on this as well, but like the fandom doesn't really talk about Showa as much anymore. Like at least as content creators, like we rarely touch Showa for the most part. Like it's all about Heisei and up, like 2000 and forward. Like yes, we talk about Black and all that stuff every once in a while, but like the general conversations day to day rarely involve Showa anything, even Black and Black RX. If anything, they're like honorable mentions.
I mean, dude, coming from two guys that have a podcast with like official Toku, that most of it is older stuff. We're always trying to be like, yeah, let's watch Metal Heroes or let's watch this random Toku, and everyone's like, can we watch Gaim? Can we watch Double? And it's like, we can, but like,
we're not allowed to.
We do because they have the first episodes on that YouTube channel. Yeah. But like, that's one of those things where it's like, oh, well, you know, I see what you're saying where like everybody just wants to talk about the new stuff. Nobody really dives into like the older stuff.
Yeah.
I will tell you the episodes that we do that are fairly new, like Thomas Jujubee and us talked about X8 a few weeks ago. Those episodes will get 3 times the amount of listens on podcasts on like Anchor than we did Soul Brain, which just was an absolute tank of an episode.
Oh my god, absolutely! Even on YouTube, because we upload them after that. Like Soul Brain maybe hit the hundreds, but like that X8 upload with Thomas Jujubee was in the thousands. Yeah. So like that's a clear, you know, like people love it. It's new, you know, it's people can talk about that or like relate to that a little bit more. And plus we have a guest within Thomas Jujubee, but like. When you're talking about,
we talk Trio of Deep Sin or Zenkaiger, those or Dawn
those do well.
Those are 3 episodes in a row that were just banger, 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 and then we did Ultraman Dyna episode 1 and 2 after that, and that was just like the biggest drop we've ever seen.
Exactly, and it's just like, and when you watch something like Pentaton, nobody's there because what the fuck is Pentaton? Nobody fucking knows that. Nobody wants to go watch Nobody wants to go watch 2 guys talk about a show that nobody knows.
Yeah,
you know, and we tried to tell everybody like, hey, watch it before next week because this is what we're watching. But like that's that's in their realm. You know, you throw it out there, you can't make somebody watch something. So if Hawk and I are just talking about Pentaton for an hour, we're probably the only ones that know what the fuck we're talking about.
But it's a start, man. It's what you're saying is just it's the popularity versus the passion. You know, like,
absolutely.
There's always going to be that the separation, which is why I always kind of say that I'm kind of a novice because I don't have a lot of legacy knowledge that I don't accrue from somebody else. You know what I mean? Like I don't research the stuff without a purpose. So for the passionate people who are like, I need to know everything about everything twice. Like that's fair. Of stuff that I like. But to go in with it, if it weren't for the day that I met Carl, you know, and got exposed to this, I wouldn't know Toku beyond maybe somebody showing me a picture. You know what I mean? Like, it's all a matter of the level of exposure that people go to. Because you guys have that passion, guys like me learn all of that stuff that I didn't know. You know what I mean? And that's what maybe I will go check it out. So it's all worth the effort. It's just, you know, it'll get there. People will find it someday and be like, what the hell was that show about? Carpets? You know what I mean? Like, you understand? Like, shit like that.
Literally, one of the reasons why we wanted to do the official thing was because there were those older seasons that we hadn't seen. Yeah. Like Hawk was saying earlier, we know about Beetleborgs, but like we've never seen B-Fighter Kabuto. So like when we watch that, it'll be like our first like entry to that, but it's also something that we can now talk about and like, you know, like document and stuff because like that's our first time watching that. And like it's cool to be able to like talk about new things that are old. But that you just don't know, you know, and like not everyone's talking about it, which like doesn't sound appealing, but like we were trying to learn more about the past.
Yeah.
Legendary riders, and I'm just tying it back to that same point. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It would make it easier. It easier if you had another decade to be like, remember that guy before?
or just watch Legend Heroes because that show's amazing. So it's fine.
That show's good.
One of the other parts of like when we made the podcast and it like being available legally and mostly free at this point, was that we didn't want that extra barrier. We didn't want to have to send a 12-year-old to like a streaming site that would have like weird pop-ups on the edge and everything just to take part in our podcast with us.
Yeah, it's just another obstacle to be a part of what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
I survived the LimeWire age. They'll be fine.
We do. I don't know about our laptops. Those.
Toku Kid in chat says Soulbrain and Exceed Draft and even Blue SWAT are my favorite Metal Heroes by far. I will say Exceed Draft, fun fact, is in our intro and we still have not watched it for the podcast.
Yeah, it's like on the list, but like we just haven't gotten to it.
When we were making the intro, I just grabbed some clips off of YouTube and Exceed Draft was one of them. Blue SWAT, I think, was one of our favorites far and away.
Yeah, we love talking about that with our guest Manny.
Yeah, Blue SWAT was fantastic. But this was always the idea, was that we learn stuff along the way.
Yeah.
And we get introduced to new things that we're like, hey, I want to go back to this eventually, even if I don't have the time, which is why like I said, we only watch one episode every week or two. We can always go back and be like, oh, I really like this. Let me check this out again. Or if they get a re-release or a new update, we're like, hey, I'm familiar with this character and I know what this kind of entails. Like Changerion just got a figure the other day. Yeah. And we got hyped for it because we love Changerion, the one episode we watched.
Dude. Such a fun show, which honestly, I would be down to see revamped. You know, we were talking about like Metal Heroes coming back. I would love to see him again. You know, shit like that. Where it's like, yeah, bring that back.
Yeah. And it all is super fun. And we have a super dedicated fan base for the podcast that will watch every show every week with us. Like we joke about like it's only us talking about Pensaton. I think when we did Pensaton, we were like really small. Whereas when we watched Dinah and me and Jem were not hyped about Dinah, we had quite a bit of people there talking about it. Or even Captain Justice that we had you guys on for.
Yeah.
We had a bit of people there talking about it. So it's cool to like know that we help suggest these things for people, because 9 times out of 10 it's just me and Jem 5 minutes before the podcast go live and like, hey, what do you want to watch next week? Like what are we picking?
That totally didn't happen, right before this one started. It's fine.
Totally professional here.
And we did it, guys. We did it.
Yeah, we did it. We did it. Look at us. Podcast in the bag.
Cheers.
Clap it up.
All right. Turn off the lights.
You guys want to hit some news before we get out of here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Shoot it.
Not a whole lot happening. Unfortunately.
Thank God. Jeez.
All right, that's good. Have a good night, everyone.
Nice.
You guys are clapping is about to announce someone passing away. Great.
Now it's going to be horrible. Now we're just going to be shitheads. All right, what's up?
Hiroyuki Watanabe has passed away. He played Kamen Rider Gao in the Den-O movie. Yeah, so he passed away, unfortunately, recently. He has also been in the Gamera reboot trilogy, as well as 2001's Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Out Attack. So yeah,
rest in peace.
Dude had a jawline of the gods. That is unfortunate.
That movie? Yeah, the Den-O movie. That's the one scene I remember when he henshins, because he does this badass pose and just flips the little pass right into his the driver.
Yep,
it's so dope. He's henshin, and then he whips his belt or whatever, or whip. It's dope. Rest in peace, buddy.
Yeah.
And then we also have Nobunaga Daiichi is joining the cast of Ultraman Decker, and he is joining as a member of the Guts Select team. And he will be the Sosuke to Decker's Naruto, it seems.
Nice.
He's also Koga's dad in Garo. I didn't know that. Now that you say that, I see it. But he's Koga's dad in the original Garo. So, very cool.
Okay.
Peacemaker hooking it up.
He looks familiar, but like, it's not from that. I feel like I know him from something else.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
And last little piece, they released the key visual for, I sent you guys the link to the Futo PI trailer if you guys want to check it out. And
you sent it? I am not joining a group called Tokusatsu Indonesia.
Did it make you join the group? Yeah, don't worry about that. That's fine. I don't know. It was there.
We're just talking about the one with they're on the side and the girls in the middle, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't. It was in my stupid like feed reel thing and it popped up. I have no idea. So there you go. But the Futo PI is the opening is out and going around. So make sure you guys check that out. They also released a new key visual. It looks pretty cool. I'll put this, what I'm looking at in the chat here we have, so you guys can check it out too. But it looks pretty sick. It's anime, that's for sure.
Heck yeah.
They also announced the theme song is done by none other than Eternal himself once again.
Oh, yeah.
So, yep.
Oh yes.
Did you guys talk about the 01 comic yet?
We talked about it last week. We can touch on it again if you guys have any thoughts on that 01 comic.
Oh, cool. Just excited. That's it.
Okay.
No thoughts. No comment.
Yep. It's pretty cool, though, that we're getting like a Western released original comic. I think it's kind of sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's pretty much it for the news. Not too much happened since last week. There's some new, if you guys weren't aware, there's some new Vice stamps and stuff coming out. Sakura's got some new ones. That kind of stuff.
Like the
Dodo,
like the
Scythe, and all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Scythe now. So now she's top. She's best girl.
Nice.
Yep. She's a girl.
It was just the Scythe, man. Had to get that in there.
Yep. That's all it is. But yeah, that's really it for the news this week. I'm sure there's some other random toy announcements and stuff, but that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for hanging out today. I know it was kind of a
No problem.
just kind of wing it podcast.
Whatever happened, it happened.
It happened.
So,
Hey, I mean, it's.
we're gonna get you guys. Sorry.
I
We're live. It's out there now.
I feel
That's
like
true.
whenever we get together, like we talk shit all the time, and then we end up getting
Yeah.
on some like super serious topic for like half an hour. But it's good. It's all good. Do you guys want to plug your stuff one more time before we get out of here?
Yeah, man. Hockey, you can go first.
You can find me at Achilles everywhere. Twitch, Toku Tuesday nights. We watch the newest episodes of Superhero Time over on my Twitch channel at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then most weeks I'm live at 6 doing some dumb shit like the Writer Recap or tier lists and that kind of stuff. Wednesday, we do the Tokusatsu World Tour. That is the podcast we've been talking about for most of this podcast with my boy Jem.
Yeah, and you can find me, Jem, usually on every social media at Pronghorn Heroes. I like to do a lot of stuff within the Toku realm, and things have been changing recently. So if you go on YouTube and you don't see me there, that's fine. Don't worry. Yeah, and that's it. I'm at Pronghorn Heroes, and like Hawk said, I also co-host the podcast with my dude Hawk, and yeah, we love to have a fun time over on his Twitch stream every Wednesday.
Yep. Next Thursday night, we'll actually be over on the YouTube stream, youtube.com/Achilles, because we are jumping into the war zone. Me, Jem, Daryl, Delphin, and Marco Satsu going to take on Godzilla in Call of Duty Warzone.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Oh.
homie's about to die super quick. But I'm gonna have great commentary.
I hate how great those like ghillie suits and stuff look because I hate Call of Duty, but I'm like, damn, am I about to install Warzone?
I haven't installed. I've had Warzone uninstalled for probably 8 to 9 months now, almost a year. And it just thinks it owns my PlayStation. It's so fucking big. Like it thinks it paid for my console.
Right.
So I'm not excited to like archive everything on my PlayStation and then uninstall Warzone. But I am excited to just because if I'm not mistaken, neither of my 3 compadres have ever played Warzone before.
Nice.
It's
So
gonna
it
be
should
fun.
be a fun time. Yeah.
I hope you guys
Yeah.
get the sweet Mecha Godzilla costume thing that they released. Yeah,
be dope.
It looks pretty sick.
Carl, you might know more about this. Is Godzilla actually in the game, or is it just these suits and gun skins?
He's in the game. I don't know if he's just kind of like marching around the level. I don't know how Warzone works, honestly.
As long as he's in the game, I'm
He's
fine.
in the
I'm
game.
like, if I'm advertising this against as us versus Godzilla and he's not even in the game, I'm gonna be so mad.
I don't know if you shoot him, but you definitely he's in the game. Like there's screenshots of him walking around the map.
I just need that video clip of us looking up. That's it.
That's probably all you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Godzilla.
That is fine with me.
Yeah.
Dope.
Rob, you want to plug your stuff?
Rob, you can find me at 6echoes.se@gmail.com. Send me your creepypastas. I'm doing all that fun stuff. I'm looking for an artist right now to help me draw up my next icon. So if anybody can drop me a line, that'd be great. Definitely willing to do commission pieces. So just hit me up. Other than that, you can catch me here with Carl, just messing around talking Toku.
Sick. Peacemaker saying it's a
No, I'm reading it. Yeah.
LTM where you can gather beacons to summon Godzilla, Kong, or Mech to attack other players.
That is even better.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind
That
of
is
sick.
the goal for next Thursday.
That's I'm about
We're
to install it
to
too.
pop off.
Yeah, y'all about to get like Sky Halo dropped or whatever that Fortnite shit they do now. And Toku Kid is saying Hawk, you may not have played Warzone, but it got me curious. Have you or your friends played Unreal Tournament?
Way back when, like early Unreal, I think.
Unreal 64 kind of thing?
Was there an Unreal on PC?
Yeah, that's where it started.
Yeah, that's the one I played.
I don't know which one that is, but cool.
My screen
Fantastic.
goes black. My camera died.
No, we can still see you. You're like
You're
moving
fine.
around and everything.
That's why I said if my screen goes
Yeah.
black.
No,
Oh,
it's
okay.
fine.
Yeah.
And if you want to check more of my stuff out, we stream every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Wednesdays and Fridays, we typically do some kind of fighting game and or other thing. And we are starting a new thing called Mecha Mondays in about 2 weeks, where we're going to check out some mecha games every Monday night.
Yes.
So that's going to be really fun.
Playing Gundam Evolution or what?
We're playing some fucking Gundam Evolution when that drops. We're starting with a little ditty called Daemon X Machina, which is Armored Core if anyone's into that. And Gem is now in the Abyss. It's cool.
Hey guys, I'm in the abyss.
But you can check that out. That starts in 2 weeks at twitch.tv/KaijuCarl. If you're watching in the future times, if you're watching currently, I appreciate you. I love
Daemon
you.
X Machina is not Armored Core. Hold on.
It is armored. It's armored. It's made by the same
What
team.
did you say?
Daemon
it
X
is not
Machina.
Armored
Yeah.
Core.
It is made by the same team and creator.
That's fine. It is not Armored
It's
Core.
Armored
Core was like a mech. I say mecha, but like mecha, like religious mecha for mecha robot mecha.
Yes, it was, but it's Armored Core either way. So we'll be checking some of that stuff out. I'm actually really excited because Mecha is like Toku, and then like Gundam and Mecha are like right there for me. So I'm excited to dive into that more with everyone. So yeah, you can check this podcast out on all major stuff, and then I have a second one, Kaiju Carl's Coffee Corner. You can check that out as well. That is all on your major podcasts now, as of now anyway, because it took like 2 weeks for everything to get settled. So go check that out.
Setting up a podcast is a long process.
I just like, why does Google take 2 weeks?
It's so weird. When I did it for ours, I had to because we announced the podcast. We didn't have a first episode, but we had a stream we did together talking about Dino Fury episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to upload that one, and then it took 2 weeks to come out. So like Dino Fury episode 1 was like 3 weeks, 4 weeks old by then.
Yep. So that's out. You can check it out. Rob and I talk a little game called Legend of Dragoon, if anyone's ever seen it, and how that is shaped literally all of his existence. So
Every aspect of
yeah.
it. Not even gonna lie.
Yeah. So fun time. Go check it out. Kaiju Carl's Coffee Corner on all your major stiffs. And this is Tokudon. Thank you guys once again for hanging out. I appreciate you. Deuces, yo.